one way out where the blacktop ends, 5 miles south. Cross the tracks and don't turn back. Let's go. In your tight black jeans, you've been misbehaving and living up to that reputation, girl. Hard to read, hard to please. Just like me. Smoke signals in your eyes, whiskey trails of butterflies, drinks on up on the tailgate. Feel that shot like a 12 gauge. It started with a flicker. Feel the heat of the liquor. When the stars come out, break away from the crowd, chasing smoke signals. Smoke signals. I had a plan, but your hands tell me I don't need it. Got me heavy breathing, girl. Put on a show, show me what you know. Smoke signals in your eyes, whiskey trails of butterflies, drinks on up on the tailgate. Feel that shot like a 12 gauge. It started with a flicker. Feel the heat of the liquor. When the stars come out, break away from the crowd, chasing smoke signals. Yeah. We both know when you get this close, watch this night go up, smoke signals in your eyes, whiskey trails of butterflies. You and me on the tailgate, feel that shot like a 12 gauge. Started with a flicker, feel the heat of the liquor. When the stars come out, break away from the crowd, chasing smoke signals. No telling where this wildfire goes, but girl, I gotta know. No telling where this wildfire goes. Yeah, it started with the flicker, for the heat of the liquor. When the stars come out, from away from the crowd.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the April 17th edition of the Hughes Sports Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Jake Hughes, alongside the old man. Old man, how the hell are you doing today?
How can I not be fabulous? I almost swore again, Jake. I should watch that, right? We're not supposed to swear.
We're not
I'm
supposed to
fabulous. How can
swear,
you not be fabulous? We're both wearing our Canuck hoodies. We're twins.
The Canucks
And
announced
Canucks have locked up the
Pacific.
Pacific Division already.
Now, this might be controversial, and this might be something I want to bring our guest in before I
What?
introduce him, though. But is it proper to call them your Pacific Division champions?
Hell yeah!
Some people seem to have a lot of issue with it.
Oh, bite me. Bunch of whining babies. They're all haters. It's going back to 2011 when everybody hated us.
No. Before we get down this Canucks wormhole that we will, we do have a very special guest on
Super
tonight.
special.
Would you like to introduce him? Because I have to cough here.
Fine. Throw it at me when I'm not ready. We have a good friend of the shows and a very good friend of mine, the co-host of the Rod Peterson Show, which is a daily sports talk show that you can watch on Game Plus Television Network and, of course, YouTube and all your podcasts. Darren Dupont, how are you, buddy?
Good evening, fellas. I gotta say, Kev, like the whoever your illustrator was for the graphic makes you look good, man, on the cartoon.
I'm the young guy there, right?
Well, doesn't matter who you are, you look good.
Jake did all of that, by the way. He
done.
surprised me one day, and he made up that logo. He's done all the graphics. Kid's talented.
So it's really a one-man show here with the old man.
It looks good, man. It looks
Hey,
good. This
buddy.
is you guys have made some improvements, some renos since I've been on last, so it's good.
Just a tad, eh?
Always got to be improving and making things new. How are you doing, Darren?
I'm doing great. Doing great. You mentioned the Pacific Division champions. Are you saying that a lot of people think you got to win that in the playoffs?
No,
Because you
people
can't really.
people
No.
on Twitter are like, no, you're not champions. You've won the Pacific Division. You're the what did someone say? The pennant. You won the Pacific Division pennant,
You're going to hang a banner.
but
That's
but they can't. They don't say champion because in North American sports, if you don't win the playoffs, you're not a champion.
Yeah.
You win the President's Trophy. The New York Rangers won the President's Trophy, but they are not the champions.
well,
And it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
they're the league champions. They won
No,
the
they're not.
league, the regular season.
But no one refers to them as that.
True, but I don't care. I'm referring to us. We don't get this word very often. And
So,
I'm getting up there in age, so anytime I can put the Vancouver Canucks and the word champion together, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So Darren, you deal with this you deal with us irrational fans on a daily basis. And if people are wondering where we got irrational fans, it was actually the host of the Rod Peterson show, Rod Peterson, that gave me that title, and we ran with it. It was like, I love that. Do you still get excited as we do for the playoffs?
You know what? It's a great question. Yes, it's a little different. And it also it takes me more to get excited. Like I have to go through a process now to get excited to watch hockey. So like if I want to settle in and watch a hockey game, first of all, it's hard for me to watch any game and not have a rooting interest.
Right.
So I don't. Everybody says you're unbiased. I don't think you ever completely are. I think we all
No.
have a rooting interest somewhere. Otherwise, you can't watch the game. I think
Yeah.
that's really difficult. But I kind of got to go through a process. I kind of got to build up some storylines in my head. I got to get myself into it. I got to check it at the door. So I really reserve that for kind of my teams. I can really, hockey. It's harder. We talk more hockey in the show. We don't talk much NFL.
Right.
So it's a lot easier for me to be irrational about the Tennessee Titans and just get into the, put on a jersey, be a fan, and, park all my broadcasting at the door and just be a fan. It's awesome.
Right.
Harder to do it in hockey when we're talking about it every day. But you know what? Come playoff time, I'll absolutely do it. It's just all the things that go along with it, pregame, wearing your jersey all day, talking to other fans, going through that. And then the post-game emotions I find now with hockey and talking about it, I got to park those a lot earlier, which kind of sucks, because part of being a fan is being miserable when your team loses and being excited, before the game. So I do have to park that a lot, and kind of game's over. I got to kind of, 30 minutes, I got to move on.
Yeah.
Because I need to now evaluate the next game, and I got to talk about it on the air. You see on the air, I talk about it so level-headedly. Well, I'm not when I'm watching the games, obviously. Like nobody is. So it's a balance.
Now, who are your teams? Who are your hockey teams?
The Leafs were always my team growing up. And the Canucks are actually my second team. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know that. I was waiting for it.
My first ever game was a Canucks game.
Was it?
It was in the playoffs. I believe it was, I want to say the 07 or 08 playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Whatever year they played Dallas in the playoffs. And we went, I was down in Vancouver, went to my first ever NHL game. Never went to a game as a kid. Never went to a game until I went down to Vancouver, and randomly wasn't even planning to go to the game. Was just on a vacation, little sightseeing tour, visiting some family, got tickets from a scalper, went to the game. It went to, I think, 4 overtimes.
Oh, yeah.
Against Dallas. Canucks won. I got a rally towel that says "We are all Canucks." It was on my seat, riding the Sky Train with everybody.
Nice.
It's unreal. So because of that, you kind of always have that Canucks fandom. There you go. You got the one for that's this year's, isn't it?
No, it's 2020.
All in is this year. All in.
All in is this year. Yes.
But it was great. So then kind of the Canucks became kind of my West team. But I've also, through the Joe Thornton, Marlowe, Pavelski era, I became a real big Sharks fan, actually, too. I thought I really wish
Oh.
they had gotten over the hump. So that's my hockey teams anyway.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's why
Yeah.
I knew it was Canucks, and I'm like, I think it's Toronto as well. Yes, Henrik Sedin did score the overtime winner. That's my nephew.
Yeah.
He knows. He's like, you want to talk about irrational fan? That is the most irrational fan you've ever met in your life.
he puts us to shame.
That's the one.
Yes. Awesome. So now, have we seen a year that has come down to literally the last game of the year in both East and West, it seems?
Pretty wild. Like the West, for the most part, was kind of been locked up for a little bit, except some positioning. We didn't know any of the matchups till kind of tonight.
Yeah.
And we still, to be fair, if Dallas doesn't win this game or get a point in this game that they're playing right now, it's still up in the air until tomorrow.
I know. So that's kind of crazy. Now in the East, that race that we've seen the last couple of nights for the final playoff spot has been so much fun. And what Detroit did to keep, their playoff hopes alive, and, Philly and Washington coming down to the end there at the empty net goal. It's been a really fun season.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've talked about it on the show, but how does John Tortorella not know the game situation? How does he not have someone in his ear? They're all wearing, or someone down there will have an earpiece.
But why?
Because
my point is, why do you need somebody in your ear? Why do you even need to know what's going on around the league? Because unless you're sitting there if you're John Tortorella, what's your MO here? You know what, guys? Make sure you let me know the second we don't have a chance, so I can be a nice guy to the Detroit Red Wings. Hey, make sure you're watching that other game so I can be a nice guy to the Pittsburgh Penguins. He doesn't care about those teams. His only MO all night was we have to win in regulation. Yes. And we need some things to go our way, but we have to win in regulation. So we're going to win in regulation, and then we're going to check the scores and realize we did it for nothing, or he wants his guys engaged. It's their last game of the season. He wants them to go down fighting. Winning that game in overtime doesn't give them any sort of sentimental nothing. So I don't think he's looking at the iPad or radioing in or listening to the radio broadcast or none of that stuff. I don't think he cares.
And if we turn the outcome and they actually win and they make it,
everyone's applauding John Tortorella for that move if that happens.
He's a genius, right?
Well, we knew it was coming because everybody we were talking about it pregame. The pregame shows we're talking about it. What happens if they're tied? He's going to pull the goalie. Now you'll argue if he pulled the goalie too early, there was 3 minutes left when the goal went in and all the rest, but he was going to pull the goalie in a tie game. There was also the early whistle, which pulled a potential goal back off the board for Philly. There was a lot of factors in that game.
I'm still working. There's another podcast out there called Scouting the Refs. It's a podcast and website. I'm still trying to get them on the show to help explain that one, because I officiate amateur football. If you lose the ball and you don't know what's happened and you think there might be a fumble, you don't blow the whistle until you see the football. Then you blow it dead and have a conversation.
It's such a fine line. You're right, because you lose sight of the puck. You want to keep the play going if that puck's still alive. But if you lose sight of that puck and it's covered and you don't blow it dead, then all of a sudden things can get out of hand physically pretty quickly.
If and that puck could come loose.
The goalie and all the rest. It's such a fine line. And you could see the look on his face that he's like, I think I effed this up. Like, I might have, and you feel bad, but it happens.
Oh, they're human. Like, the refs are human. We get that. It's just,
I
hope there's accountability.
On a potential turnover or whatever, you'd rather let it happen so that you can review it rather than blow it dead and eliminate all chance of getting that call right.
Exactly. 100%. Go ahead, Jake. You had something.
I was just going to say, we have officially somehow, I was looking, the NHL officially announced the Eastern games. They have not announced the Western games. So what we were talking about before the show went live here is technically a scoop of some sort, because the Canucks have posted seats for sale for April 21st,
which is the
meaning
Sunday.
the Canucks will play despite all the rumors and confusion. No matter who they're playing, they will be playing Sunday, April 21st. We don't know what time. We don't know.
Oh, if they're playing in the afternoon, I'm going to lose my nut. I work Sunday. That's why. I'm just saying.
I'd be shocked if they didn't have it as the late evening game, like a 6:00 start.
That's that's
6:00 start for
you always get the
Mountain
late
Time.
game.
It better be.
Yeah, you always get the late game when it's Vancouver. So you're lucky in that regard. Vancouver's an interesting. We were talking about this on the show one day about what's the best sports market in terms of time zone. And we all kind of agree that you guys are probably in it in the Mountain Time zone.
Yeah.
That's kind of the best of both worlds. Like out here, everything's on really late.
Yes.
If we want to watch a game on the West Coast, they're just starting, and it's after 10 o'clock, in the Eastern Time zone. But on the West Coast, you can watch you start at 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock you're watching Netflix, and by 11 you're going to bed. Like you get it all jammed in, right? You leave work early, you watch games during happy hour, the next one during dinner, and then you can wind down. Here, you got to do all your stuff before, because the games don't start till 7, and then at 10, and then so maybe the Mountain Zone's the best. But
because a lot of your games, I mean, especially if or when Toronto makes it deep in the playoffs, you're going to be up past midnight when they're playing a Western team on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It's not going to be fun.
It's tough, that's for sure. It's good for a night owl like me, but
I mean, your show doesn't start till noon your time. So
so I can sleep in. That's not a problem. But there's somebody like Rod who likes to go to bed at 9:30. Hard to watch a lot of sports.
Exactly. It's quite often you watch him and you can tell he's just read the highlights because that game didn't start till 10, and he's no way staying up past 10 o'clock.
And he's self-admitted to that.
Oh, yes. I'm not telling secrets out of school.
Exactly.
No.
Go ahead.
One other thing that I want to talk about before we get into kind of the previewing the NHL playoffs and getting everyone's picks here. It is 100% confirmed that Arizona is moving to Utah. The owner today, I don't know if you saw this, Darren, but was at a conference of some sort, and when asked by reporters, said, sometimes you can't believe everything you read on the internet. However, this time it is true. What do you think of the whole way the NHL's handled it and everything that's gone on with poor Arizona?
It's happened really fast in these last, week or two, that's for sure. But I don't know, like you feel for the fans in the desert on the one hand, and I don't put any of this on the hockey fans in Arizona. I still think that Arizona has such an opportunity to be a cool hockey market, because you look at where hockey's trending now, and it's becoming such a fun sport, with the stick skills, the puck skills. Look at the Spitting Chicklets guys, how they've integrated what they've done, but golf and they all live out in the desert. A lot of former guys like to go there. They spend their holidays in Scottsdale. It's become a real place. Austin Matthews now from there. They're starting to develop the area. And I think if they could ever get some stars to play there, if they could, I thought the best thing would have been if they could have got Connor Bedard in the draft, if they could have won the lottery. You look at their history, 30 years or whatever it's been. Keith Tkachuk, who I think came from in the Winnipeg transition. They had Jeremy Roenick, played a few seasons there, but he played there for a bit. And Shane Doan is kind of the lifeblood of the whole organization.
Yeah.
And then Wayne Gretzky coached there for a few years. That's the extent of the star power and your history of the team. in terms of stars. Lots of some good players played there, sure. But that's the extent of your Legends Row and all the rest. And not even all of them were attributed right to Arizona and made their name in Arizona. Jeremy Roenick didn't make his name in Arizona. Shane Doan did. Keith Tkachuk, sure, but he kind of started in Winnipeg. In their 30-year history, they won 2 playoff series, and it was in the same season.
That's
so,
wild.
I mean, it's not even like they had an opportunity to see what it would be like if they had a winning team, any sort of success, star players, things like that. I think you get that. I think it could have been a really great free agent destination, a place players wanted to play, if you could start to build that. But no rink, there was still another year left on their agreement to play at Mullet Arena, but that's not going to happen. So for those reasons, I don't think the NHL has given up on Arizona. I really don't. I think they'll instantly become a place they want to bring hockey back to. But I don't know. Something has to change where you get better hockey people, the ownership. I'm not sure what the magic formula is, but nothing can happen unless they put a team on the ice.
Now, do you put a lot of that blame on ownership?
I mean, sure, ownership for sure. That's where it begins and ends, right?
Yeah.
They don't really get the credit, but they got to take the blame. Whether it's at the right time, funding, money, the ownership is responsible for making sure that you've got dollars to attract free agents, that you have an arena to play in. If the owner can't get the arena deal done, it's really tough to have a team there. So, you're going to go into this, mode right now of, what is it, 5 years to get an 5 years to get an arena done.
Yeah.
So he's got 5 years. Now we'll find out if the city's serious. If Tempe or Phoenix or Scottsdale or wherever, Mesa, wherever is serious about getting an arena done and having the team come back, then they'll make this happen. He'll win the land bid. He'll get some support. They'll build the arena. And then the Coyotes will come back because he still is going to retain the name to bring the Coyotes back. Now, if it's an expansion, if it's just returning that franchise back, and then Salt Lake City gets the expansion, I'm sure that still is stuff that will get worked out. But I don't know. Some people are not very hopeful that he's even going to pursue the arena.
Well,
and at the same time, I like to remain optimistic.
Will the league actually look for a new owner?
That's the rumblings, as I've heard, is that 5 years is a quick turnaround for someone who lost a team, build a new arena, have all these conditions met. But
right.
Is that a way for Gary Bettman to say, please don't sue us, so here's all these conditions.
Yeah.
If you don't meet them, we're going to go find a new owner in Arizona who's got the connections, got the money, and is willing to spend on a team.
What's Jim Balsley doing? I joke. He's not coming anywhere near the National Hockey League. But, 5 years. So this was all contingent on him winning this land bid in June. Yeah. But we'll find out pretty fast if he wins the bid and then starts, he needs to get shovels in the ground.
Yes.
And that arena needs to be built, and then that team can potentially come back. But they're not awarding him back until there's shovels in the ground. Winning the bid will be like, look, I've won the bid. Give me my team back. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer process. Look, Arizona had some flashes this year. Got some decent young players.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Could be interesting.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see because the owner, when he brought the Jazz from New Orleans up into Utah, he went from the Jazz went from like a bottom 20 team in the NBA in spending to a top 10 team in spending literally overnight.
Wow.
So the Coyotes, looking at their cap friendly, they have about $40 million in cap space. And on top of that, a lot of draft capital. So you could see an offseason here where you only have 6 months to build hype around your team. Let's go get all these free agents whose money is bad or just big names.
Yeah.
Why not?
You absolutely could. It'll be interesting to follow and see how successful it is in Salt Lake for hockey. And, not a notoriously big sports city, but they've had some history and some success with the Jazz.
Yeah.
So, I like the idea. Keep it small. Hockey could have a big presence there. It's a winter city, the mountains, the whole deal. Those Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City are my favorite hockey memory of my entire life. Is
Yes.
those 02 Olympics. So there's a lot of good things, and sometimes in a market like that, I know a lot of people. Here you go. There you go. A lot of people will say, Salt Lake City. I don't remember anything about Salt Lake City. There's nothing special about Salt Lake City. Well, great. Now the one thing that is special is the hockey team and the basketball team.
Yeah.
So it's great that there's nothing else to do there. We'll go watch hockey all winter.
Exactly.
Let's go. See, I'm way older than both you. And when you guys were talking about bringing in big stars, I think back to LA when they made their big move and bought Gretzky, and literally bought Gretzky. And look what happened. I mean, it took off. It was the place to be. Why?
Yeah.
Because they spent the money and brought in a star. He's got 40 million.
Everybody made the jokes about Florida, 7,000 people or less. We can't put anybody in the building. Now they're winning. They're selling out the building during the regular season. It's not just on playoff runs. They're good.
Yeah.
And they have some star players, that are playing there. Matthew Tkachuk has transformed that team along with Barkov and some of the other stars that they have. So
and now they have literally the dream matchup in the playoffs for both franchises. The Battle of Florida. You couldn't ask for a better first round to get some excitement happening.
Of course. This is going to be great. The only, you look at the East, you're going to get Florida and Tampa. Awesome. You're going to get Toronto and Boston. Awesome. The only thing you're not getting is New York and New York.
Yeah.
Which would have been awesome. But they're,
even their last game of the regular season that they played against each other was playoff intensity.
Yeah.
So
it was an opportunity for the two New Yorks to maybe meet in round two, depending on what Carolina and New York does. But I think it's just tremendously exciting. I think there's going to be some really great matchups. And then in the West, as they continue to sort that out, that's going to be fun no matter what. It's going to be
the only downside as a Canucks fan is 4.5 hours of travel if it's Nashville.
Yeah. I mean, but it's still Nashville. It's still a great city to travel to.
It could be worse.
I would say, and
good going to Winnipeg.
The Nashville atmosphere is fantastic. Like, they put on a playoff show.
Oh yeah.
So it's no matter what, the atmosphere is going to be great. It's just the travel that sucks.
Yeah.
For the Canucks, for any team that's going to Nashville.
But that's the Western Division. I mean, you're going to travel.
It's so spread out.
Part of our geography, unfortunately. But let's get to some playoff brackets. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, hit me with some matchups, and I'll give you what I think.
Let's start the East.
Funny because I just got invited to a bracket challenge, and I need to fill it out tomorrow. So this will be
which bracket challenge would that be? Which bracket challenge did you get invited to?
Just a family one, just with one of my buddies.
Actually, you got invited to another one.
What's that?
You got invited to another one.
Okay. I got to check which inbox is it in?
It's in your text messages.
Oh, well, I will get on it.
You can win a hoodie with this logo on it. We'll talk about that later, fans.
Okay.
I think right now we should talk about it right now.
Okay, talk about it.
In the description, on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere we post this, you will see a link. That link is the invite link into the Hughes Sports Podcast 2024 first annual NHL playoff bracket. Because the first year is the inaugural. This is the first annual. I'm sticking by that because that's how the words work.
Let's go.
We have last year's champion has already signed up. DJ is in. He's ready to defend his title. He's got his hoodie. So the winner, will get a guest appearance on the show.
Ooh.
As well as a brand new hoodie with the Hughes Sports Podcast.
All right.
Logo.
With me over on this side, you can't see my mouse, but if you're looking at the screen, I'm on the right side. Jake is that gray-haired old guy in the left.
You know what? I'm just going to let him have that and let him think it's true because I don't want to break his heart.
Come on. Okay.
Let's start in the Eastern Conference where we have the New York Islanders taking on the Carolina Hurricanes.
I think the Hurricanes are going to win this in 5 games. And
Wow.
Islanders Hurricanes, I think the Islanders will win a game because of Matthew Barzal and Patrick Waugh.
So we're going to start out. Would that be an upset? Would that be considered an upset?
No, the Hurricanes are a real Stanley Cup contender this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Islanders are actually gonna be able to grind. I always find Carolina doesn't have the grindability in the playoffs. I'm gonna say that Carolina takes it in 6.
Okay.
And in just one of those games, the Islanders are just able to put bodies into people and take Carolina off their game.
Yeah.
God, I don't want to agree with you two. I'm gonna go way out. I think this is the Islanders. I think the Islanders in 6.
I like it. Bold.
And then we have the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Boston Bruins.
Can
the
I just
fabled
say,
matchup? The matchup that was written in the stars.
Can I just say I'm excited for this series?
Why?
It just takes me way back to when I was a kid, and I can actually smell hot dogs while I'm thinking of it, because Saturday night in our family was hot dog night. We always had hot dogs for dinner, and we would sit and watch hockey. So anytime I hear the old Hockey Night in Canada theme song, I would smell hot dogs, and I'm actually smelling them right now. I need a hot dog. And how often would you watch the Leafs and Bruins play? Quite a bit.
Yeah. Unreal.
Yeah. So
I'm going to go Boston in 7.
Wow.
So again, I'm doing this as what I would actually bet my money on. And until Toronto can beat Boston, it's been twice now. I think Toronto will push them right to the edge. I think Boston wins in 7. But I also think this is exactly what Toronto needs. When you have a problem, when you have think of any, evil villain, whatever you want to call it, you can't go around them and skip that level to get to your next destination. You got to go through them.
Yes.
The only way to win a Stanley Cup is to go through them. So when they avoided Boston last year, I thought that was a mistake. Not that they had a choice, but they were all saying, we want Florida. I thought that was a huge mistake.
Yep.
Now it bit them. Karma bit them.
Big time.
You got to go through them. You got to face it head on. So I think they'll face them head on, but I think Boston wins in 7. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope I'm wrong, he says. If that happens, if Toronto goes out in the first round, is there massive changes in Toronto?
I don't know about massive changes, but there could be a head coaching change if they lose in the first round.
I think Toronto is finally going to slay the demon. And I hope it's as dramatic as when the Canucks did it to Chicago.
Yeah.
In like an overtime game. Something. I think it's time. It's been a few years that that Toronto just keeps hitting Boston, but it's got to break eventually. Toronto. I'm taking Toronto.
Nice.
I hate when the kid steals my thunder, because that's literally what I was going to say is I'm thinking it's going to be Toronto, and I damn well hope it's Game 7, 4 overtime periods. Puck comes off the stanchion. Oh, nobody knows where the puck is.
You want me to have a coronary for 4 overtime periods?
That would not be good.
It'll never be quite as bad as that Tampa Bay game in 2020 in the bubble when it went to I think 7 overtimes.
Was it that bad? Well, not that long.
It was that long.
It
broke records.
Yeah. So we got 2 Torontos and a Boston. I can't believe you took Boston, D. Wow.
Yeah.
The next one we have is the matchup of Florida Tampa Bay Lightning versus Florida Panthers.
Tampa Bay and Florida. This is a tough one for me. It's a really tough one. I really it's going to go 7 games. I'm going to go 7 games. And honestly, Tampa's defense is so good.
Yeah.
But so is Florida's. Florida's so good defensively too. They're both tough, physical. Tampa has probably, Florida went to the Cup final. I'm going to say Tampa in 7.
Ooh.
I'm going to go Tampa in 7 for an upset.
I literally had to look up their head-to-head matchup, and that's who I was going to give it to in 7 games.
What's their head-to-head?
Florida won 2-1. So I'm going to take the Panthers in 7.
You know what? I'm doing this for Rod just because I want Rod to go to a whole bunch of playoff games this year. Yeah. Roddy, I got your back. Let's go Panthers.
I like it.
In 6th, though. I think it'll only be 6 games. I don't think it's going to go 7.
And then we have the President's Trophy winning New York Rangers taking on the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, I hope Alan May's not watching. I'll take the Rangers in 4.
Can we ask why you asked if May was watching?
He's a Capitals broadcaster.
Oh, right. Wasn't he just on the show?
He was just on the show.
Yeah.
Today.
I would tend to agree. Washington stumbled and fumbled their way into the playoffs here, and watching the Rangers, my roommate is a huge Rangers fan, so watching the Rangers as much as I have, that team, there's too many similarities to the world and to the team for 1994.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Rangers.
This is the second time you've brought up all this freaking BS conspiracy shit, Jake. Jesus.
Oh, it's gotten even worse. It's gotten even worse since we last talked about it.
Oh, God.
O.J. Simpson passed away. What year was his trial?
94.
94.
It was. Wow.
There was an earthquake, like a huge earthquake in New York. There's stats. Start digging into it. There's some sort of weird phenomenon happening in New York, but this time they're going to lose in the Stanley Cup final.
All right.
I'm going to say, sorry, Dom. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it. The Capitals.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the biggest upset of the playoffs. I got a feeling. I just got that gut feeling. Capitals in 7, though.
Okay.
That would be wild.
Dom will hate me because I put it out in the universe and he'll blame me. So Dom is Jake's roommate, by the way, Darren, and he's a massive Rangers fan.
And he messaged in here. He said he loves the confidence from us, but he thinks Lindgren steals a game or 2, Rangers in 5 or 6.
Ooh.
So,
then he says, how dare.
So then we head over to the Western Conference. Wait, before we do that, who do you have, Darren, coming out of the East, representing the East in the Stanley Cup final? We're not going to do the whole bracket. Just
okay. I have, coming out of the East, the Carolina Hurricanes.
Wow.
This is their year to come out of the East. They've been building for this. They're tested. I love their coach, Rod Brindamore. I think the team embodies that. I think they can have home ice until they play the Rangers. And that place is wild. What do they call them? The Caniacs. It's going to be awesome. I think
the
Carolina
Caniacs.
Yeah.
What?
Well, yeah, they're a bunch of jerks.
A bunch of jerks.
That is just dumb. I'm not picking them just because they're called the Caniacs. Who are you taking, Jake?
I am going to take the New York Rangers.
I were going to say
I pumped their tires here. There's too many similarities, and
just keeping peace in the house.
Wild. No, because the problem is if they make it, when they make it to the Stanley Cup final, and it's versus the Canucks, we've already talked. We're going to put like tape dividers through the entire house. He's going to have his half. I'm going to have my half. We don't talk. Luckily, on my half of the kitchen, I have the fridge, but he's got the microwave, so there's got to be some sort of peace treaty there.
That's hilarious. I am going to stick with Roddy. I want Rod to go to all kinds of games.
Okay.
I'm going with the Panthers coming out of the East.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 choices that I can see all 3 possibilities of happening.
I can too. Yeah.
So now let's head over to the West, and I put together a little lower third for this. It's a mess. We're one day away from the last day of the regular season, and we have one official game set. We have one. That's it. All the other 3 are up in the air.
Which is Winnipeg and Colorado, isn't it?
Yes. So Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets are the only locked-in Western Conference matchup, and I am very excited for this matchup.
How can you not be? It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a fun one.
The thing we forget about is Colorado has all that championship pedigree still.
Yes.
Like, we make it seem like it's 10 years removed since they won the cup. It's not. I mean, a lot of pieces are still there, but playoffs, goals are harder to come by. And I think Nathan MacKinnon is fantastic, and I hope he goes on a run and has a lot of fun, and he will. He's a great player, one of the best in the NHL. He's right there with McDavid. But Winnipeg wins in 2 categories for me. Their bottom 6, I think, is really deep and very balanced. So I think they can run 4 lines against Colorado and really wear them down. And they have a massive, to me, edge in goaltending. So in those 2 areas, I think are going to be a big difference. And for me, the goaltending is really what tips the scales for me to pick Winnipeg. And I think Winnipeg wins. Not as easy as the regular season's been, but I think they win in 6.
Okay. Yeah.
I completely agree. Connor Hellebuck, if he doesn't win the Vezina, it's because the writers on I guess it's by the GMs. So the GMs on the East Coast fell asleep before Winnipeg played their games in the Central Time Zone. But it has to be Winnipeg. I think it's going to go to 7, but I think in that game 7, it's going to be a 1-0, 2-0 sort of game where Hellebuck just has the game of his career to knock out the Avs.
Yeah.
I can't cheer or pick any team from Winnipeg. It's against everything in me. Even though I have a feeling they're going to get through this series. It's because of the Bombers. The Smurf Mafia just ruined that city for me. So I'm going to take Colorado just out of pure spite and being irrational fan that I am. I have to take Colorado, and I'm going to say in 5, just to be different.
Okay.
So I'm loading something up here.
Uh-oh. What are you loading now?
Trying to get the best options for these last 3 games.
Well, yeah. How do we even pick them? Who plays who?
I mean, I'm pulling up the game. The last I saw,
is it Vancouver? Are they not going to play either Nashville or Vegas? It's the only 2 teams they can play.
Yes,
I believe.
And then the Oilers will play Vegas or the Kings. And Dallas will play either Nashville or the Kings or the Predators.
Yeah. Whoever finishes last.
Okay, I'm confused now.
Yeah. Welcome to the West. Remember the Western Conference.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. The only team as a Canucks fan that I am concerned about meeting in the first round is LA. And there's a 0% chance that we face them. So I am okay whether it be Vegas or Predators. It's leaning very highly that's going to be the Predators. And as long as UC Saros doesn't get insanely hot like he can on these runs, I think the Canucks have an okay chance.
I think they got better than an okay chance.
Yeah.
Canucks are, one of the top teams in the National Hockey League. I think Vancouver is in a good spot. I don't want to jinx you guys, but I think Vancouver gets through. And I don't know if you want to pick 4 teams that get through, or if you want to kind of go through some fake matchups that likely will happen, but maybe not. But
let's go through the most likely matchups here according to Dom Decision's model, which will be Vancouver taking on the Predators.
Vancouver in 5.
Ooh.
I'll take Vancouver in 6. I think UC can steal a couple.
Okay.
I'm going to
That'll
say
make
5.
you nervous.
I'm going to say 5, but I want Darren to understand when we talk playoffs. You ever watch Charlie Brown when
Yeah.
Lucy holds the football?
Lucy.
That's us with the Canucks. We've been burned. It's like an abusive relationship. It's just every year you're like, that's
You're
it.
talking to a Toronto fan. It's not a lot different. I guess my question is, and this has been my issue with, like, again, adopting the Canucks as my second team. Like, if Toronto loses out in 7, as I predict, am I allowed to come and cheer for the Canucks?
Hell yeah.
Because, they went on, was it in the bubble they went on a run?
Yeah.
They won a series or two?
They
A
won 2.
qualifying series and then a playoff series, right?
Yep.
And they were maybe the last Canadian team standing, or one of them.
One of them.
It could have been around the bubble or before. Anyways, I was on the Canucks bandwagon, and I said, and we kind of said on the air, like, the Canucks are Canada's team now. They're the only one left. And Canucks fans says, they're like, no, you're not here all year. We don't want you now. And I'm like, whoa, you guys have some healing to do.
We do.
So we have a lot of healing to do as Canucks fans, but also there's been a lot of pain as a Canucks fan. So for someone just to come on during the good times, I think that's where like Canucks fans, including myself, get our kind of backs up. It's like, no, you don't like us during the regular season. You guys constantly, especially like across Canada, take jabs that, oh, where's your guys' cup? And now all of a sudden you're cheering for us? No. You got to go through some heartbreak with us first.
But you understand that fuels more of the hate during the season.
Oh, yes.
You got to open your doors. Because guess what's going to happen? You're going to welcome all these fans in, and they're going to go through hate with you when you lose in Game 7.
And then the worst part is we get all the hate, we get all the heartbreak, and then idiots, I won't even call them fans because they're not freaking hockey fans, tear the town apart. And you're just like, it's bad enough I just lost in Game 7.
To have to now
I turn the
watch
TV off, and I'm starting to, my phone lights up from idiots laughing at us. And I turn the TV back on to see my town being burned to the ground. And I'm just like, heartbreak. Just,
I know.
It's terrible. This is our year, though.
This is it.
This is the one.
So the next most probable matchup is going to be the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Los Angeles Kings. The battle of the Gretzky teams, less New York.
It's the third time they're going to play the Kings now?
I think
playoffs?
so.
Is it really?
I want to say the Kings are due. And I really like the Kings. I really do. But I can't.
It's boring to watch.
I can't pick against Edmonton. I just can't. I think Edmonton is going to roll through. I think it's going to be. I'll take the Oilers in 5.
Yeah.
Although I have this weird feeling that the Kings are due. But
I say the Kings in 6 with this one. I think the 1-3-1, or as I like to call it, the 0-4-1 that they play is good enough to trap McDavid and Draisaitl and not allow them to get those breaks that they always get. Yeah. And they're disciplined enough to not get burnt on the power play.
I want to know when we stopped calling the trap and started calling it 1-3-1. It's the freaking trap. That's what the trap was. They're playing the trap.
About like 20 years ago.
Apparently. I am with Darren. I think Edmonton has way too much skill. And skill outdoes that 1-3-1. You look what Canucks did to him last game, where we were able to make that first pass. And if you can make that first pass in the neutral zone past the trap, you've won. And I think McDavid, Draisaitl, they're going to make them look like children. I was going to say 4, but I'll go 5.
See, and that's the lack of faith that I have, other than Evan Bouchard on defense in Edmonton. that they don't have the puck movers that is Hughes and Hronek.
Yeah.
Even Zadorov and Myers, I think, are better puck movers.
Did you see Myers flying down the ice the other night? He looked like a Wayne Gretzky with that shot.
And that would mean the last matchup would be the Battle of the Desert. We got the Dallas Stars taking on the Vegas Golden Noodles.
The Vegas thing, man, it's interesting because, they've been a little better lately, but they really haven't been good most of the year and even the last half of the year.
But Mark Stone should be available approximately April 20th.
Well, yeah, and you wonder what that does. But, on the one hand, you're going to get all these players back and you're going to get Stone back, and this team's going to be able to bring in some bodies, and all of a sudden it looks like a pretty good team again. Like another Stanley Cup run is in the cards. They need goaltending. Like Adin Hill needs to go on a run. He needs to get back to form. Goaltending hasn't been at Stanley Cup levels. But at the same time, can you just flip a switch? Add these guys in and just flip a switch? Like that's going to be the challenge.
Yes.
And Dallas has just been so consistently good. I think Dallas will win the series in 6 games.
God. From your mouth to the hockey god's ears, nothing would make me happier.
I completely agree. I think no matter how good a team is, having half of your team, or not half your team, a big part of your team be out and come back, it's going to mess up some chemistry. And I think Dallas, especially with like the way Otter's been playing since the All-Star break, I think he's going to be hard to beat. I think 7 for Dallas.
You think it's going to go 7?
I think it's going to go 7.
Yeah, no.
Defending Stanley Cup champions.
Cheaters.
As much as I don't like them, you have to respect the fact that they're
cheaters.
They're defending Stanley Cup champions. Right.
They're cheaters. Let's call a spade a spade. They're cheaters.
They are. But you know who else cheated?
Who?
The Canucks in 2011.
I know. Look what happened.
We didn't get the cup.
That's right. Karma. I'm going to say Dallas in 5. Simple. Just because I can't stand them. The long-suffering fans of Vegas. I'll never forget that interview. I wanted to punch him in the face.
Isn't that something?
As a Toronto fan, I'm sure you felt the same way, Darren. Long-suffering fans.
Do not feel bad for the fan base. I do not. No, I never have. Doesn't really bother me that they won, though, either. But It's a little bit like, yeah.
It was good for the league.
Isn't that just how it goes, though? Yeah.
Now, I know the answer for me and the old man because we're slightly irrational and...
No! Don't jinx it!
Now, Darren, who do you have coming out of the West?
You know what? I have Dallas coming out of the West. I don't know if I often pick just the top team to come out, but I think the Dallas Stars will come out of the West.
Oh, I did that.
Don't put him.
Put him in the penalty box.
Okay, I mean, I'll pick the Canucks.
I was waiting for it because I knew he wasn't going to pick the Canucks, and I had my finger waiting.
I'm going to take Dallas to come out of the West. I'm not doing anything to jinx the Canucks or the Oilers or the Winnipeg Jets. But, man, wouldn't it be something if we're sitting in the second round with Dallas, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Vancouver?
Oh,
wouldn't that be something? And then Dallas gets to the Cup when it's 3 of the 4 Canadian teams. That would just be,
We need a Canadian team in the Cup.
Yeah.
So I have a conspiracy theory.
Stop
that
it.
That O.J. Simpson put a curse out on Canada. that for the glove will not fit. The God said, you know what, Canada, you guys allow this to happen. No.
How did Canada allow this to happen?
Did we manufacture the Ford Bronco? What did we do?
Maybe. I don't know. There's no logic behind this. This is completely an irrational theory.
Darren, this is what I have to put up with on a weekly basis.
I get it, man. And the playoffs haven't even started yet.
And they wonder why my hair goes gray.
I thought that was
30 years with this shit.
I thought it was just because you were super old.
Oh, that could be it too. Obviously, I'm taking Vancouver.
Yes, I too am taking Vancouver for a 30-year later rematch of the Vancouver Canucks versus New York Rangers.
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be something?
With the Canucks winning this time and Dom crying.
Just let that just soak in for a couple seconds.
Just take a second. You know how long it's been since we could actually sit here in April and talk about, like, there's a chance for the Canucks?
Well, we talked about this time last year we were talking about there's a chance for the Canucks to pick Connor Bedard in the NHL entry draft.
Yes. Yes.
But it is exciting. It's exciting for Canada. Yeah, it sucks for Calgary. It sucks for Ottawa and Montreal, but it's a really exciting time of year. And these playoffs, man, they're going to be a lot of fun. It's really tough for me to see a fan base and look around the league of these playoff teams and think, man, I really don't care if this team wins. I mean, I feel a little bit of that towards Washington because they just haven't been that good.
Yeah.
On the stretch consistently. I feel a little bit of nothingness towards Colorado for whatever reason. Maybe it's because they just won the cup. But everybody else, I'm kind of like, you know what? Okay, this is going to be interesting. Like, a lot of great teams.
The only team I don't want to see win the cup in the playoffs is Vegas.
Yeah,
and that's just because I don't want to see a back-to-back championship.
Yeah.
And two, the fan base is already insufferable.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. I mean, we don't need to see, it's nice to spread it around, but there's so many teams that you can feel good about if they go on a run. So it'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
Okay, so we've got our picks for both East and West. Darren, who do you have winning the Stanley Cup in 2024?
Let's say it goes 7 games because that'll be the most entertaining. Oh, yeah. I'll take the Carolina Hurricanes in 7 games to win.
I think that'd be a super fun matchup too, Carolina and Dallas.
It would be great. I think it would be awesome. And I think that would mean they'd be on the road in Dallas. I think Dallas would have home ice in that series. I think. Yeah,
because Dallas is first in the West right now, unless they lose.
Yeah.
The Canucks win. Then it throws some loops and things. But
you guys?
I have the Canucks winning, and we can't have it in a non-dramatic way. So in Game 7, against the Rangers.
Game 7, like 5 overtime period.
No,
the old man's laying on the floor with oxygen mask on because he can't freaking breathe. Oh my God, I dream about it, Darren. I dream about it every day.
Wouldn't that be something? And you know what? It's as possible as any of these other scenarios right now.
And you know what? When we say it's possible, it literally is. Like the Canucks have. I got into a discussion with a guy on Facebook today, and he's like, "Oh, the Canucks aren't good as their record shows them." And I'm like, "How can you say that? Like, we literally, from the start of the season to the end of the season, we've been in the top 5 teams. We are one of the better teams in the league this year. It's simple.
Yeah,
you can come up with all kinds of reasons why that happened. It happened. I mean, Hughes has been playing way above his pay grade. It's phenomenal. Does he win?
It'll be a great question to find. Does he win the award?
Yeah. What is it? The Calder?
No, it's the Norris Trophy.
Norris Trophy.
Calder for rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Calder.
I'm gonna. You know what? I think he will win the award.
If he doesn't, that it's a travesty because you can look at almost any stat you want, and Quinn Hughes is leading it for defensemen. Points, plus minus, Corsi against you name any stat, Quinn Hughes is winning it.
A, B, C, F, G, Y, Q, R.
And I don't think he cares.
We'll give you your coloring book by numbers, old man. You'll just color in the pictures.
He comes up with all these stats, and I'm like, where do you get these things?
So, going back to the Canucks aren't as good as their record seems. Friend of the show, Jeff Patterson, broke it down beautifully in the Canucks Army article. He broke the season down into quarters, so 20-game quarters.
Yeah.
Because this was posted before we played Game 81 and Game 82.
Yeah.
In the first 20 and the fourth 20, we only lost 6 games in regulation. In the middle 220s, we only lost 5 games in regulation.
That's insane.
And there's reports now that players or people in the organizations of both Vegas, LA, and Nashville are saying, oh yeah, if we got to choose, we'd pick the Canucks.
To play. Right. And I think they worry about, again, the way you play in the regular season, the game changes in the playoffs. And can you play the same game? That's the big question. Quinn Hughes is a brilliant player. He is so good with the puck. He's still a young player. The pressure amps up. Where do the mistakes come from? Physically, defensively, right? It's not going to be as easy. The goals aren't going to be. So when you look at the 649 line and some of the skilled players, can they play a little bit more of a heavy game? Those things all change. But at the same time, I think that Rick Tocchet, who again should also be the coach of the year in the National Hockey League and likely has as good a shot as anybody to win that, will be a leader, front runner. I think he'll have them ready to go. But the style changes so much. So you wonder if they can change and play playoff hockey. That'll be a big question. But you're asking them, they haven't lost, what you said, 5 or 6 out of 20?
20.
Yeah.
In regulation. There have been some overtime losses on that.
To lose 4 of 7?
Yeah.
That's going to be a tall ask for teams to try and put 4 behind the Canucks. So I like your odds.
I do. I get goosebumps. I like it.
Well, Darren, I appreciate the time. We've taken enough of it tonight, so I appreciate you jumping on.
It was by fast.
You guys, it always does. All of a sudden, I look down and it's an hour into the show, and I feel like we still had so much to get into. But you guys can check out, if you're listening live right now, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 a.m. Pacific Time. You can see Darren on the Rod Peterson Show, the RP Show, on Game Plus Network, on YouTube. It's up on the podcast networks afterwards. Is there anywhere else they can listen to the show, Darren?
I guess you can listen to it WQE Radio if you're in Atlanta, or online. Yeah, YouTube, the podcast. But Game Plus is the best place to watch it, and we'll chat with you tomorrow morning.
Excellent, Darren. I appreciate the time, and you beautiful people. We appreciate you hanging out with us all season for the Canucks. Starting next week, we're going to be in playoff mode. And we talked about this, and I don't think we ever confirmed it, but screw it. I'm going to confirm it right now with the old man live on the air. Sunday, during the game, we will go live on TikTok.
Oh, no.
During the game.
Have you figured it out?
How about that?
We are going to go live on TikTok during the game. So you guys can have us up on your phone and watch along with us and just watch how irrational we truly are as fans. And I want you guys to know this from the bottom of my heart. We are not going to be putting on any sort of extra dramatics. This is going to be how we watch playoff games. Prepare yourselves. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at HSP_pod. Hit that like button. Comment below. And we will see you guys in round 1 next week. Mwah!